Hey, this is Les from the TV Dudes. This week, I was lucky enough to chat with actor Stephen Huszar. I try to not make the entire thing about Letterkenny, where he plays Yorkie, but careful listeners will know that that's difficult for me. We do talk about his new role on Ruby Herring Mysteries, Her Last Breath, where he plays Jake Killian, as well as his work on Shadowhunters, Supernatural, The Flash, iZombie, and much more. It's a fun chat, and I hope you enjoy. Hey, Stephen.
Hey, Les. How you doing?
I'm doing great. Thank you so much for making time today. I really appreciate it.
Oh, thanks for calling.
So, I first, I think, saw you or really noted you on screen as Yorkie on Letterkenny, and which is just
really?
one of my favorite shows. I'm staring at my Letterkenny ball cap actually right now.
That's funny.
And I wondered what it was like as an actor who, I mean, you've been on other shows. I've seen you've been on The Flash, Shadowhunters, Corner Gas. As an actor doing work, what was it like to get that role and come onto that set as kind of as part of the hockey players? You're kind of part of an ensemble running gag. And what was it like to move into that space and get with the other guys and make sure that you had it down the way that, Jacob and them wanted?
Right. Yeah. No, that's a good question. Well, first of all, that's one of the funniest shows I've ever acted on, and we honestly can't stop laughing on set. So it's actually surprising that we can get takes off without cracking up. But no, that's a good question. Thanks for asking. Yeah, when we were brought on board, actually we came in on the second season there. I actually had to audition for the role, and talking to Jared and Jacob when I got on set, they're like, nope, just do exactly what you did. We loved what you did in the audition. So we brought a lot to the characters. They were pretty open to our sort of our interpretation of what these senior hockey jerks were like from a small town. I grew up in a small town. I grew up playing hockey as well, so it was a nice way. It was a nice way for me to, get into a role that I was pretty comfortable with. But the guys are just awesome on set. They're just so supportive. This is a true Canadian success story. So we were just all excited to be able to jump on board, and the show just keeps picking up speed. And as you know, in the U.S. as well, it's now starting to really pick up speed down there. So it's awesome. So I'm just really glad to be a part of the crew.
And I would imagine being from Saskatoon and being on Corner Gas would also have kind of a similar, local guys made good sort of feeling. Was it kind of a similar thing being on this show, doing episodes of Corner Gas and then coming on to Letterkenny?
Yeah, it's kind of a little similar. I mean, at Corner Gas, I just had some guest star appearances, so it was a little different. I played a couple different characters, and the kind of humor on Corner Gas was a little more suited for a family audience.
Yeah.
I feel Letterkenny really pushes buttons, and it's got an interesting following. I don't know if it's exactly my mom's cup of tea, Letterkenny, but certainly a Corner Gas was.
Yeah.
So in that respect, it's a little different. And just the edginess of Letterkenny, I think is really brings a new audience to it, and it allows us as actors to really go a little deeper, I guess, and it's just a different kind of humor, and I love comedy so much. So in that respect, it was similar. I feel comedy flows really easily through me. I love making people laugh. It's one of my favorite things to do. Not cry yet, anyways. So yeah, there is some similarities there, but it's just wonderful to be on the show that can allow us to have a little more of that dark comedy.
And when you were first getting into acting, I know you did Credible Fall back in 2004, but before that, when you were crossing that hump of I'm going to take this seriously, this is something I'm going to really do. Do you remember what your first acting experience was where you thought, I like doing this. This is good?
Yeah. Well, yeah, it was. I mean, right from the get go. You're right. My first. Gosh, I can't even believe that. That was way back in 2004. Yeah, that was my first gig, and it was interesting because we were actually shooting in Saskatchewan, a very very cold place in Canada. It was so cold that the crew made a T-shirt saying, it's very cold on Mars, but it's minus something 40 degrees Celsius in Canada at this point on the show of Incredible Falls. So my first experience was literally in the deep freeze, and I was also I was a paramedic in it, and the cameras were freezing. I remember, and all this. I'm like, wow, this is really fascinating for a first experience. But even having that first experience, I mean, it was just magic. It's magical to be on set and bringing something to life the way we do as actors I'm just so grateful. It's a privilege, I think, to be able to tell stories in a way and really bring our own interpretation to it. So right away I was hooked, more or less. I actually started in business school, so I wasn't really set out to be an actor, but I always knew that I wanted to. I graduated in commerce, and just a few years in corporate America, I realized it was okay, but there was more that I wanted to seek out in life. And right away, I sort of switched my career path towards acting. And ever since then, that movie, I never looked back, and I really got the bug just from that.
What was it like to quit that office job?
Really relieving. It was a transition. I was actually almost doing a little bit of a Superman gig. I felt like I was a management consultant, actually, so I was dealing with pretty awesome clients, very very sort of important businesses we were consulting with in the U.S. Actually, I was working in Chicago, and I remember I'd actually literally be changing in a taxi from my suit to an audition outfit while I went to an audition, no one really knowing that I was doing this. So I was a little bit Clark Kent for a bit there, just keeping undercover. So that was kind of fun. But then eventually I just realized there was just too much overlap, and my heart and my passion was really taking me towards the arts versus the corporate side of the world. So that's it was a fun transition, but I'm so glad I haven't turned back.
Yeah. My girlfriend also knows you from Letterkenny primarily, and was like, "Oh my God, you're going to talk to Yorkie."
Yeah.
And I was like, yeah. I mean, he has a name, and it's Stephen, and this is an actual photo of him, not half in his sweater and everything.
Yeah.
And her first thought, she was like, "Wow, he cleans up great. Like you look absolutely great." Watching you in the trailer for Ruby Herring Mystery, it amazes me that people don't have to go from playing like a hunchback to the Prince or something for me to think it's a huge transformation on screen. Just the difference in you as Jake Killian on Ruby Herring from Yorkie is night and day to me. And can you talk a little bit about what you like best about getting to switch between those roles and switch between roles in general as an actor?
Sure. Yeah. No. It's that's part of the fun of being an actor. I mean, it is awesome to be on a show where you get to bring back your character, of course, and get to experience it in a more sort of richer sense. But equally exciting is to step into a new character right away. Almost. I mean, I was actually, interestingly enough, we shot another block of Letterkenny. I had to fly from, I was shooting a show, and then in another place I had to go into Sudbury. We fly in northern Ontario, shoot the block, and then I literally started on Ruby Herring right after. So it was, the transitions pretty quick, but it's awesome. I love it. It's just a way to really explore what's going on within you at that moment as well, and it's a bit of schizophrenia that happens, but at the same time I love the challenge to change. I've always loved exploring the world and cultures and things, and I feel like acting and being able to step into different roles so quickly is just a way of just changing and just sort of really sort of taking what is there in that particular story and making it as real and authentic as possible. So I love the challenge, and it happens all the time as actors, I guess. So just kind of going with the flow.
I would imagine as fun as it looks to be to do comedy, I would imagine it would also be interesting and fun to explore the more actiony stunt side. And I know on Flash, getting to play Plunder, you probably got to do a little bit more of that. How much of that have you gotten to do in your career, the more stunt action side, and have there been things about it that surprised you or that you particularly loved or hated?
Yeah, no, I love stunts. I actually did some stunt training, and earlier in my career, just knowing that I would have loved to do more. It's sometimes hard to do it as you know, being a lead in a show. The insurance doesn't really like it when you jump out of a helicopter kind of thing. But that being said, my second role I ever did, it was called Caught in the Headlights. That's right. And it was Kim Coates was actually starring in that, another Saskatchewan boy. I was actually they allowed me to, that was my first kind of supporting lead role. They allowed me somehow to hang out of a helicopter and shoot someone off the side of a building. So that was really fun. And that kind of got the bug in me. I was like, wow, this is super. Now I can actually, you know, do all these crazy stunts as well. That didn't quite happen throughout that kind of extreme stunts, again. But as much as I can, as you say, Flash, Shadowhunters, other roles where it's very physical, I love to do as much as I can. I feel it's just a way to bring the acting into more of a grounded sort of feeling for the character, because you're actually doing the movements, you're getting into it. If it's a tough character, you're actually taking the punches, so to speak, and you're giving them. So as much as I can, I'll go for those roles. And I like to keep in shape. I like to work out and be physical. So it's sort of more of a natural thing for me to be more in my body and do as much as I can. It's lots of fun.
I know one of the remakes that I've been looking forward to this year is the Soska Sisters Rabid. I liked the original movie. They have a particular brand of horror that I'm definitely a fan of. Getting that role and going into that, what did you know much about their filmmaking past and what to expect?
I had not known too much about them, but I knew of them. I didn't know who they were really personally or anything like that. But right from the get-go, from the table read to meeting the other leads and supporting characters in it, they were just awesome. They're actually Hungarian twins. I'm Hungarian, first generation, actually, too. So right away, we had a connection there. And I am a huge fan of Cronenberg's work, of course. And any chance I can get to play a villain and or sort of darker characters, I'll jump on it, because I feel it balances nicely the lighter kind of rom-com comedy that I do a lot of. And it was great. They took me under their wing. We had such a great time on set. You talk about being physical too. I without giving it away, my character really was able to explore some pretty physical scenes, and we had lots of fun. Yeah, it was. I really hope David Cronenberg and the rest of his fan base, but additional to the Soska Sisters fan base and the general horror genre, will appreciate the film as much as we enjoyed making it.
Well, I'm looking forward to seeing you in that. And Ruby Herring Mysteries looks like a great time. There's both A Silent Witness, where you play Jake Killian, but of course, Her Last Breath has the new one out. I want to thank you so much for taking time to talk to me about it today. I mean, I'm always going to be waiting for Bart's to give you the lead in on every line and every show you're in. But
good.
but yeah, I can't thank you enough. Love watching you work.
Oh, great. Well, thanks for the interview. Thanks for having me on, and have a great rest of your Monday.
Yeah, you too, man.
The TV Dudes is an independently run podcast and a member of the Electric Sweater Podcast Network. We are exclusively listener supported. If you'd like to help us out, go to patreon.com/tvdudes. You can like us on Facebook and Twitter at TV Dudes. All the music for our show is by our friend and original TV dude, Gregory J. Amani Smith. To find out more about us, go to thetvdudes.com and electricsweater.com. I'm Grant Davis. Thanks for listening.